I suddenly found myself thrown back 6 years at my childhood friend's 19th birthday party. Someone egged me on to confess to the school's loneliest poor kid. My childhood friend curled his lips into a smile and joined in, fanning the flames. I told you to go, so go, Sujiji. Don't tell me you really have a crush on me. Can't bear to go. I was shoved forward and pushed right up to the scholarship student. He slowly raised his eyes. His face was pale, and his eyes were as gloomy and lifeless as a stagnant pool. My mind just couldn't catch up. I instinctively covered his icy fingers with my hand and blurted out, "Honey, why aren't you at home taking care of the kids? What are you doing here?" Before I crossed over, I kissed my husband and child goodbye. I had gone out to keep a heartbroken friend company and drink until we were drunk. When I was already half drunk and dazed, I looked up again. The scene before my eyes had changed. The noise around me grew louder and louder, and someone leaned in close to my ear and said, "Sujiji, you lost the dare. Go tell Jiang Yuan that I like you. Don't back out now." Haha, isn't that the famously broke weird guy in our department? Getting Sujiji to confess would be hilarious. I looked around in confusion. The private room was dimly lit, filled with clinking glasses and a crowd of strangers and familiar faces. Jingxian, my childhood friend whom I hadn't seen in ages, was seated at the head of the table, idly spinning a wine glass in one hand as he looked at me with an amused smile. "If I tell you to go, then go, Sujiji. Don't tell me you actually have a crush on me and can't bear to leave." His remark drew a burst of laughter. "That won't do." She was laughing so hard she could barely stand, leaning against Jingxian's shoulder as she said with playful reproach, "If you want to date someone, you have to get past me first. I wouldn't want you to lead her astray." My face went blank, and my mind struggled to turn over. Just as I was about to speak, the private room door opened, and a tall, straight-backed waiter walked in. Someone immediately started exchanging sly looks. "Jiang Yuan's here. Sujiji, what are you standing there for?" I was shoved forward, right up in front of the scholarship student. He slowly lifted his gaze. His face was pale, and his eyes were as dark and lifeless as a stagnant pool. I was too stunned to process what was happening. I ran into the face I'd shared a bed with for years. I instinctively covered his cold fingers with my hand and blurted out, "Honey, why aren't you home taking care of the kids? What are you doing here?" The air went still for a moment. The boy's lifeless eyes flew wide open at once, and he didn't make a sound for a long while. Only then did I remember he was deaf in his right ear. I stood on tiptoe and leaned close to the other side of his head, asking, "Where's our daughter? What kind of cosplay are you doing here?" His face went completely red. She gently pushed me away. "You have some self-respect. We're an old married couple now. Why are you still blushing like that?" I looked left and right. "Where's my daughter? The one I raised with so much love and care?" A snicker cut in. "Haha, Sujiji's really getting into character." It was Linxi's voice. She covered her mouth with a smile and looked over at me. The others, who had first been surprised, gradually shifted to looks of understanding. Someone else even gave me an approving thumbs up. "Our sister Sue really knows how to do right by people. She's not afraid to go all out." The booth's mood lighting was switched off, leaving the place as bright as day. I blinked in disbelief. To my astonishment, these people were the same rich kids I used to know. Looking so young they seemed only to be in their teens or early 20s. A giant birthday cake sat in the center. It said, "Happy 19th birthday, young Master Jingxian." I finally came to my senses and realized what was going on. I'd been transmigrated. I even ended up at Jingxian's birthday party. I stiffly turned my head and saw Jingxian looking slightly grim, leaning back as he studied me. "Sujiji, you really don't have to go this far, do you? You're even calling him your husband. Are you very close with him?" At that point, Jiang Yuan and I had nothing to do with each other. We were complete strangers. I was polished and glamorous, the picture of a rich person. He was still working here, doing his best to make a living. Jiang Yuan clearly heard it all too, but he kept his eyes down and silently finished pouring the drinks. It seemed this kind of treatment had become all too normal. Last time, Jingxian and the others were making a scene like this too, and Jiang Yuan silently took it all in. I felt humiliated and turned away at once, holding back tears. I ended up being mocked for it for a long time. Things are no longer what they used to be. This time, I stayed right where I was. I couldn't stop thinking, my husband's younger self looks so adorably innocent. I want to keep looking a little longer. He immediately took off after her. Behind him, Jingxian's voice rang out, tight with suppressed fury, "Sujiji." 3. When I found Jiang Yuanin, his back was slightly hunched as the duty manager scolded him. "What were you thinking? How could you go and anger those rich young masters and ladies? I only let you in because I felt sorry for you, and you're supposed to be a college student." one complaint, and that's 500 yuan docked. I was both angry and heartbroken. I wonder how many people have given him the cold shoulder and dirty looks. Hey, mister, I've taken back his bad review and paid him back for the money. Don't say another word about him. The manager narrowed his eyes and caught a glimpse of my clothes. He immediately put on a sycophantic smile. Oh, it's Miss Sue. It's mainly about the complaint from the young master's private room. That's when I remembered, this club was one of the Jing family's properties, suppressing the wave of unease rising in my chest. I reached out to take Jiang Yuan's hand. Then we're done, let's go. I tugged him along a couple of steps. He didn't budge. Jiang Yunan, standing at 6'3", looked down at me with a complicated expression, his lips pressed into a tight line, saying nothing. I thought about it for a moment, then leaned close to his left ear. I mean it, I'll take you away from here. This place isn't good. He subconsciously turned his head away, the edge of his ear brushed against my lips, soft to the touch, and he paused for a moment. Classmate Sue. Jiang Yuan opened his mouth, his voice hoarse. Those long, raven-black lashes concealed his expression. I don't want to take part in your game, I just want a job. I froze slightly. Right, I'm not really that familiar with him yet, so he thinks I was just playing truth or dare to mess with him. I panicked and immediately held up 4 fingers to swear. Honey, I'm serious, believe me. He looked a little embarrassed. Could you not call me that, okay, honey? Got it, honey, I said. He turned around and stared at me wide-eyed. I was still draped over his shoulder when I blinked. At this distance, I could make out the fine fuzz on his porcelain-white cheek. You're talking too close to me, aren't you? I pointed at my ear, then my eyes lit up. Can you hear with both ears? He didn't quite understand, but still gave a soft hum. Yes, suddenly, I felt this whole time. Travel thing had a real purpose. From now on, I'll take care of you. Quit your job and hurry up and pack your things to move into my place. For Jiang Yuan didn't agree. As a compromise, I asked him for his contact information. That night after I got back, I lay flat on the bed, my phone pressed against my chest. My thoughts couldn't help but drift far away. I married Jiang Yuan on the year I graduated from college. My family was on the brink of bankruptcy, and he proposed a marriage alliance to us, stepping in just in time to help. Back then, as the newly acknowledged young master of the wealthy Jiang family, he was at the height of his fame, and there were plenty of people eager to latch onto him. No one would have guessed that he would set his sights on a teetering Ji family. Back then, my world revolved around Jingxian, and I rarely paid attention to anyone else. Only after we met did I belatedly realize that it was him, the poor student everyone else said kept to himself and stayed aloof. Back then, he had already lost hearing in his right ear, his suits were impeccably tailored, his status far beyond what it had once been, and whenever he looked at me, he would instinctively lower his eyes. There was always this hard-to-pin-down air of self-doubt about him. Much later, with our daughter sleeping soundly beside us, he buried himself in the crook of my neck and, in a muffled voice, started talking about old times. Then he suddenly asked, would someone who is being secretly loved know that they're being loved? Probably. Isn't there a saying online, how could you not feel warm sitting by a campfire? He gave my skin a light nip, his voice sounding a little disappointed. Then I guess my fire just isn't burning hot enough. That's when I realized his secret crush had lasted throughout his entire college years. I was just too slow to realize it. I rolled around buried under the blanket. At last, my phone chimed with a notification. I poked my head out to take a look. Why is it Jingxian? My mood plummeted in an instant, and I frowned in displeasure. The whole screen was filled with his questions. What's going on today? Are you mad? Sujiji, seriously, you can't even take a joke? Or are you still holding a grudge about last month? Several years passed. It took me a lot of effort to finally remember what it was about. Jingxian and I grew up together. When we were little, I used to chase after him, and he always protected me, on holidays and special occasions. Our parents would even visit each other's homes for dinner, and Jingxian and I had always gotten along very well. We went to the same school from childhood all the way through. We also chose the same university program for the college entrance exam. It wasn't until he went to college that Jingxian entered a slow-blooming rebellious phase. He'd started getting tired of my goody-two-shoes act and liked bold, uninhibited girls like Lin Shi better. He'd sling an arm around her shoulders and call her bro. They were so close it went beyond what I, his childhood friend, had with him otherwise. When we went hiking last month, why would he have left me behind? It was originally a promise between Jingxian and me, but Lin Shi squeezed her way in, and it turned into a trio. As soon as they reached the foot of the mountain, the two of them started competing to see who could make it to the top first. They were both fiercely competitive, and soon left me far behind as they raced each other up the mountain. They overdid it, and Linshi twisted her ankle. Jingxian carried her down the mountain by another route. I was left in the dark back there and struggled my way up to the summit. I waited for them for ages, but there was no sign of them, and the joy of reaching the top slowly faded away. They wouldn't reply to my messages or answer my calls. As night was falling, I had no choice but to start back down nervously, and my leg gave way, injuring my calf. I forced myself to take a taxi to the hospital, where I ran into Jingxian. He took Linshu by the elbow and leaned down to say something to her. When he looked up and saw me, he froze. "Why are you here?" I struggled to register all by myself, hopping around on one leg, looking pretty disheveled. I kept my head down and didn't want to say a word. He asked again, "You were hurt. Why didn't you tell me?" I couldn't help saying, "You didn't reply." His phone was in Linshu's bag. At that, his tone turned a little awkward. "Oh, I had it on silent. I didn't notice. I'm sorry." The anger I'd been holding inside me grew stronger and stronger, and my hurt spilled out along with my tears. What good is sorry? If something was up, could you at least have told me first? Do you have any idea how long I was waiting upstairs? Seeing that I was being so aggressive, I still kept going. He, too, started to look annoyed and cut me off. "You can get yourself to the hospital, can't you? What are you being so dramatic for?" She just started her period again, and she needs someone to look after her even more. "Stop making a scene, will you, Su Gigi? I'm not in the mood to argue with you today. Who told you to keep clinging to me all the time? At the end of the day, this is all your own doing." 5. I rubbed my goosebumps on my arms. I ignored him. The screen went dark, then lit up again. This time, it was a friend request from Jiang Yuan. "Me, honey, where are you going to be tomorrow? I'll come find you." Jiang Yuan, why do you keep calling me that? "Me, you mean honey as a form of address. You don't like it, but don't you like me?" Caught off guard when my secret thoughts were suddenly laid bare, the other side went quiet, and the typing indicator kept flashing on and off. It took 5 minutes for them to reply, another string of ellipses, wordless, yet leaving room to either retreat or press forward. I typed with a grave expression. "Actually, I came back from the future. For years from now, you'll come find me, we'll get married, live happily ever after, and have a lovely little daughter." It sounded pretty far-fetched, so to make it more believable, I added, "You've got a long scar on the small of your back, right?" He replied instantly, "No." I froze for a moment, then quickly figured it out. It was probably the same as with his right ear. At this point in time, the accident hadn't happened yet, so there was still room to turn things around. My mood brightened a little, worried he might think I was making it up. I quickly called him. "Listen to me." His steady, restrained breathing came through the phone, and in a very soft voice he said, "Go on, I'm not lying to you. You've got a mole on your left buttock, and another on the upper side of your right waist. There are 2 shallow dimples in the lower back. Also, as for the length down there," he cut me off. "Su Gigi." Over the phone, I could hear his quick, ragged breathing, and I could almost picture his cheeks burning with embarrassment, and then, he spoke slowly. "You're serious, of course, otherwise, how do you think we ended up with our daughter?" "That's not what I meant." He seemed to draw in a deep breath. "Are you really from another world?" The air fell silent for a moment. He said, "Is this some new kind of prank? If this is what you want, then I can try to accept it." Looks like he still doesn't believe me. After hanging up the phone, I lay back with a worried frown. He's sensitive and insecure, and he simply doesn't believe it. Looks like I need to make him feel more secured. 6. Jingxian stared intently at the chat screen. Su Gigi didn't reply. He pressed his lips together, and the irritation on his face grew even more obvious. She sat nearby smoking, glanced over lazily, and said with a smile, "The girl's mad. It's on purpose. Take a step back to move forward. Playing hard to get, that's all part of the game," she said smugly. "I'd bet my life she's definitely into you. Think about it, if you get together with this goody two-shoes, then whenever you come out to hang out with us, she'll have even more reason to keep tabs on you, so you need to stay in the driver's seat and wear down her personality. By then you'll have her wrapped around your finger. No matter how much you play around, she won't dare lose her temper with you." Jingxian tossed his phone aside and irritably pulled out a cigarette. She leaned in and held out a flame for him. They were standing very close together. He let out a cold laugh. "She likes me, but I'm not even sure I'd take her up on it. I've had you trailing after me for over a decade. I'm already sick of it." Lin Shi narrowed her eyes slightly, smiling like a fox. He barely hid a flicker of secret delight. If that day really comes, could you bear to turn her down? He said nothing for a moment. In the haze of smoke, the look in his eyes gradually grew still. After a long while, he let out a soft snort. We'll see how she does. 7. I'm going to confess my feelings. Jiang Yuanan will come out no matter how many times you ask him. Even if I transfer him money, he still won't accept it. That damn pride of his. I had no choice but to run to the club where he worked and quietly book the most luxurious private room before his shift started. The package included venue decoration services. The manager came over, all smiles and bows, and asked me what kind of setup I wanted. I swept my gaze around the room and gave a solemn nod. Set it up like a proposal ceremony. Today I'm confessing to the person I like. Got it. It has to feel properly ceremonial. The manager bent over and jotted it down in a little notebook. What kind of flowers does he like? You've got me there, if I remember right. Jiang Yuan seemed to take all his cues from my tastes. Whatever I liked, he liked too. I fell into thought. Then let's go with gardenias. I've loved the fresh scent of gardenias ever since I was little. After we got married, Jiang Yuanan even went out of his way to plant a whole yard of them and tended to them himself. Every morning, he'd cut a few branches and put them by my bedside, beautiful to look at and lovely to smell. Okay, the manager scurried off obediently. In a corner I couldn't see, he quietly released the voice key and sent it. Young master, Miss Su says she's planning to confess to you today. The room is VIP 666. It's the same floral note as the perfume you usually wear. All right, I'll be waiting here for you. I looked around and took a few steps back. By the way, cough, Jiang Yuan should be starting his shift soon, right? I want him to serve this private room. No other waiters are allowed in. Sure thing, Miss Su. 8. The venue was decorated in a chic, understated luxury champagne style. Under the warm glow of amber lighting, a petal-strewn path led from the entrance to the main table, filling the air with a delicate fragrance and creating a wonderfully romantic atmosphere. I'm very satisfied. Someone had a waist-high bouquet of gardenias delivered over. I reached out to give it a try and had just managed to lift it into my arms. The private room door opened. The boy's slender shadow stretched all the way to my feet. You're here. A cluster of pure white petals in front of me blocked my view, and just happened to hide my shy, blushing face as well. Ahem, I'm a little nervous now that the arrow is on the bowstring. I was a bit tongue-tied. Here you go. There was a bit of a misunderstanding before. I hope you won't take it to heart, but everything I told you was true. I like you, and in the future we'll get married, have children, and live a happy life together. Don't push me away anymore. Try to accept me. Can we be together? No sooner had he spoken, the air was very still. I caught the floral scent drifting at the tip of my nose, waiting nervously for his reply. Jiang Yuan surely wouldn't turn me down, would he? He was the one who said he really liked me. My only response was a short, sharp laugh. Then someone took the bouquet. My view suddenly cleared. The smile froze on his face. Lin Shi leaned against the side, her expression unreadable. What did I say? She's just playing hard to get. See, now she's so eager to show herself off. Jing Xian held my flowers, looked down at them, then at me again, the corner of his lips curling. He seemed to be in a great mood. Su Zhizhi, you've really put some thought into this, okay? I won't hold it against you, but if you really want to be with me, then you need to listen to me, behave yourself, and stop always trying to meddle in my affairs. I was frozen to the spot. A bad feeling washed over me. I quickly turned around. Not far away, Jiang Yushan was pushing a drink cart and looking over here in silence. I had no idea how long he'd been standing there, but he had definitely seen everything that had just happened. Our eyes met. He lowered his head, his fingers tightening slightly. A faint, self-mocking smile touched the corners of his lips. He turned and walked off in the opposite direction. Hey, no, Jiang Yuan, listen to me. It's not like that. I was near tears, and instinctively chased after him. Wait for me. Jing Xian grabbed my arm, his tone laced with confusion and a heavy edge of anger. If it's not because of that, then because of what? Su Zhizhi, what do you mean? I mean, you two are crazy, thanks to those two messing things up. I was so furious I gave him a hard kick. What are you doing barging in here uninvited? This was meant for Jiang Yuhan. Hiss. Jing Xian pulled his foot back, finally realizing something, his face full of disbelief. You like him? Lin Shi also came back to her senses a little. She let out a deliberate sigh, putting on that I'm doing this for your own good look. Didn't expect you to like that kind of guy. Besides being good looking, what does Jiang Yuan have going for him? Su Zhizhi, your taste is a little questionable, still better than yours. Lin, she always said she was the straightforward type who never minced words. I've never really liked her. I used to make a real effort to convince myself that if Xingxian was her friend, then she was my friend too. No matter how I tried to get along with her, she always had this sharp hostility toward me. She'd hide it behind a veneer of blunt honesty and make me look bad as if it were only natural. In the end, Xingxian still blamed me for being too petty, just like now. Xingxian sneered coldly. What's wrong with what Lin, she said. I tried hard to pull my hand away. Taking a deep breath, I said, all of you, move aside. 9, I panted after Jiang Yuan, tall and long-legged. He kept walking ahead in silence. No matter how I called out to him, he wouldn't stop. Ah, that hurts. I pretended to trip and fell to my knees on the ground. After waiting a moment, I cautiously looked up. Sure enough, Jiang Yuxuan was crouching in front of me, his lips pressed into a tight line. He didn't say a word, just looked at me quietly. I tilted my head up to look at him. In his eyes, I saw a complicated, churning mix of hurt. Where did you get hurt when you fell? He asked. I made a move as if I were about to throw myself into his arms. Heartbroken, I could feel his whole body stiffen instantly, like a block of ice frozen in place, too scared to move. Listen to me, I was planning to surprise you in secret today. You're always so insecure. So I wanted to give you a proper confession and show you how sincere I am. I know you must have thought I was messing with you just now, but I really wasn't. God knows where Xingxian and the others came from. The more I say it, the more wronged I feel. I spent the whole day on this, and I feel wrong too. Can you hug me? He raised his hand and stiffly placed it on my waist. I hugged him even tighter, rubbing my cheek against his chest, and heard his fervent heartbeat, each beat heavier than the last. Why? His bitter voice came from above. There's nothing good about me. Why do you like me? I sat up out of his arms and looked at him carefully. I brushed back the hair from his forehead, revealing a handsome, fair face. You're wonderful, you're careful and conscientious, smart, and you've won the first-place scholarship several times. You're also very patient with small animals. Those 2 senior cats at school are so chubby because you've cared for them so well. You have so many strengths, so why don't you see it? If you like me, why can't I like you? If the feeling is mutual, then of course we should be together. I used to revolve around Xingxian, so I got used to the hurt of giving without getting anything back. I thought that was just how relationships were, a little hardship, a few tears. It didn't seem like such a big deal. There are so many lovers in this world. Who hasn't felt wronged by love at some point? It was Jiang Yuan who later made me understand that loving someone is like tending a flower. The kind of people who take pleasure in a woman's tears only love themselves. They're jerks, losers when it comes to love. If you truly cherish a relationship, it shouldn't be like this. And what about you? I cupped his face and asked him with sparkling eyes. When did you start liking me? He widened his eyes, his long lashes trembling slightly. Getting shy again, I lowered my head and took the chance to plant a kiss on his lips. Jiang Yuan didn't dare move at all now. My smug smile was reflected in his dark, inky pupils. I pressed my advantage, stole another kiss, and coaxed him gently. It's not like we haven't kissed before. How about one more time? Su Zhizhi. Xingxian strode up from behind, his face blazing with rage. What are you doing? 10. I almost forgot we were in public. I forced myself to stay calm and got to my feet. Jiang Yuan also stood up and silently moved to shield me. Facing him coolly, I hid behind him. You saw it all. What's there to ask? Are you out of your mind? You really fell for a loser like this? Xingxian suddenly calmed down, his dark eyes narrowed as he sized us up with almost cutting disdain. Or is this another one of your clever little tricks? Like Lin, she said. Do I look like I'm joking? Don't you like me? Xingxian and I said it at the same time. I went instantly silent, like a chicken with its throat clutched shut. I suddenly remembered something, and it was excruciatingly awkward. Not long ago, my secret crush diary was discovered. I really did like Xingxian. We'd known each other for so long, and his presence had been woven through nearly all of my teenage years. Besides, we used to be so close. How could I not have felt even a hint of something? In my memory, the boy wore a proper white shirt and had a bright, clear smile. He ate with me, went for walks with me, and when I had a fever, he was the first to carry me to the infirmary. I wasn't good at physics, but he carved out time from his basketball practice to tutor me patiently. In my diary, I recorded every moment my heart skipped a beat because of him. Xingxian only needed one glance to know that the one I liked was him, but that was all a long time ago. Ever since I met Lin Shi, he'd grown more and more distant from me, while I was the one refusing to let go. Desperately trying to hold on to a relationship that was already on the verge of falling apart, I always trailed behind him, hoping he'd turn around and look at me. Things never go the way you want them to. My disappointment kept piling up, until a motocross race Lynch organized finally made me give up on him for good. For once, he actually invited me to come. When Lynch overtook him and gave him the middle finger, he left me stranded halfway there. He said he'd wait until he won the race, then come back for me. That day, a sudden downpour came out of nowhere. It triggered a landslide, and I was swept away by the flood. When I woke up again, I was already in the hospital. Jing Xian looked deeply remorseful, slapped himself across the face, and kept mumbling something under his breath. His leg was encased in a thick cast. I asked blankly, "Did you come back to save me again?" He didn't deny it. The nurse beside me said the boy who carried me to the hospital was covered in blood, looking absolutely pitiful. I closed my eyes and still couldn't bring myself to blame him, but since it all started because of him, the last traces of affection in my heart vanished in an instant. When I came back to myself, I started to lose my temper. Don't say that. In front of my husband, Jing Xian was breathless. Barely able to catch his breath, he let out a harsh breath and pointed at Jiang Yuan, venting his anger on him. "You're fired. Get out now." "That's great." I clutched Jiang Yuan's arm and looked up at him with hopeful eyes. "So now you can finally move into my place, right?" "Su Zhizhi, have you lost your mind? You're still going to live with him? What on earth did he drug you with?" 11. As we stepped out of the club, a cool breeze was blowing outside. I instinctively rose onto my tiptoes and whispered in his ear, "Why don't we live together?" He said nothing. He only held me tight around the waist. I settled for second best. "Then can I come over to your place?" He turned his face away. "I'm really poor. I want to go anyway." "That's not really a good idea, honey. I'm going." He couldn't talk me out of it, so he had no choice but to take me there. At the end of the narrow alley in the urban village was a dimly lit one-story house. It was small, but clean and fully equipped. The crimson hem of my dress became the only bright splash of color there. Jiang Yuan was nervous. He changed the sheets, spread them out neatly for me to sit on, and rinsed the glass several times before pouring me some water. I looked at the way he was acting as if facing a major enemy and couldn't help laughing out loud. I spilled a little of the water in my hand. He crouched down to wipe me clean, having taken off his coat and revealed arms with clean, well-defined muscles. What a shame not to shoot an episode of Apartment Dweller Romance. "Last time I listed the features on your body, you still hadn't answered, right?" I was afraid I remembered wrong, so check it for me again. Jiang Yuan's Adam's apple bobbed as he let me do what I wanted. I still hadn't succeeded. Then my mom called out of the blue, "You're seeing someone." I pouted. I begrudgingly withdrew my mischievous fingers. It had to be Jing Xian tattling again. "You're grown now, and I'm not going to interfere, but I won't let you get mixed up with a bunch of shady people, so tell me, what's going on?" Jiang Yuan picked up on the disapproval in my mom's tone and silently stood up. "This new era supports freedom and love. Mom, stay out of it." I knew exactly what my mom was like, so before she could even say a word, I hung up right away. I didn't mention Jiang Yuan's real identity. As far as I know, the Jiang family had already come looking for him by then, but he refused to go back. It involved the messy entanglements of the older generation's wealthy families, and Jiang Yuan didn't go into detail, but I'd already picked up most of the gossip. His father was the kind of clueless tycoon you'd find mass-produced in cheap melodramas, wishy-washy, mistaking his first love for true love, and constantly targeting the wife he'd married for business reasons, who was Jiang Yuan's mother. In fact, it was his mother who had been the one his father could never forget since childhood. He had loved and missed out, and in the end his father let his mother down, leaving her to die from an untimely illness. It's understandable that he wouldn't want to go back. I've always known that Jiang Yuan had a pride that bordered on stubbornness. If he didn't bring it up, I wouldn't say anything either. 12. I don't live on campus. To make things easier, my mom bought me an apartment near the school. When I went back to pack my things, I unexpectedly caught sight of Jing Xian standing at the doorway. He shoved both hands into the pockets of his hoodie and got straight to the point. "Su Zhizhi, break up with him. You're insane." I kept it brief and to the point, then pushed him away. "Huh, why won't the fingerprint lock open?" He leaned casually to one side and said, "Auntie said if you don't break up with him, she'll cut off your financial support, including this house." I hurriedly checked. The card really got frozen. "What did you tell my mom?" I whirled around in shock. He shrugged. "Just told the truth and tried to set you back on the right path. Have you never seen a man before? You had to go after him, when clearly you used to." He paused mid-sentence. "Forget it. you're hopeless, you're way too far gone in love, I'm only trying to help you. I wanted nothing more than to beat him up. What gives you the right to butt into my business? Since you've taken things this far, then so will I. You're not fit to be my friend. From now on, stay as far away from me as possible, far away from my happy life. Did you hear me? We're done. You've really changed. You're cold and weird. Honestly, I hate you, and I hate your friends too. The flamboyant, unruly look on his face vanished. He fell silent, then clenched his teeth and said, "Is that really what you think of me?" "No. That's just the kind of person you are." I got into an argument with him. Even the bystanders couldn't stand it anymore and rushed over to break us up. I looked at 19-year-old Jing Xian. The same infuriating arrogance still showed on his face, nothing like the beaten-down look he would have a few years later when he went abroad. Thinking that over, I gradually calmed myself down. I couldn't be bothered to argue with him. "Do whatever you want. At worst, I'll get a job and support myself." I huffed and treated it like a little life experience. Jing Xian looked at me like I was beyond saving. "You're completely insane." He ground his back teeth. "If I'd known, I never would have let you do that dare. I'd have stopped you even if it killed me." Not long after, I was on my way to see Jiang Yuan. I got a call from Lin Shi on the phone. She said, "Su Shishi, can you stop playing games? You keep trying to tie Asian down, and now he won't even come out when you call him. We're racing bikes, and we can't do it without him. Why don't you just let him go?" I said, "I'm honestly really sick of you." She froze on the other end. "You're so fake. You always hide behind the whole "we're just friends" thing while doing pick-me stuff to win men over. If you like Jing Xian, then go after him like you mean it. Is that so hard? You and Jing Xian are a perfect match, two peas in a pod. I sincerely wish you both the best. Could you please stop bothering me? Get lost." It was the first time she'd heard me curse so bluntly. Her breath came out raggedly, and she managed to stammer out several US, but couldn't get a single complete sentence out. I hung up. 13. Yes, I finally have a legitimate reason to move in with Jiang Yuan. I stood at the cottage door and looked up at him with a helpless sigh. He stepped aside to let me pass. "Come in. My little savings stash is still enough to cover my living expenses, but Jiang Yuan won't take my money, from buying me a necklace to picking up groceries and rice. He paid for everything out of his part-time job wages. When we didn't have class, Jiang Yuan would head out for a part-time job during the day, while I stayed home with a little fan blowing and fussed over food. When we did have class, we were a pair on campus, always seen together. Familiar classmates would come asking around, "Gigi, why aren't you walking with Jing Xian anymore? He's looked really irritable these past few days." I replied with a bright smile, "Because Jiang Yuxuan and I are together now." "Huh, you're obviously such a catch." My expression turned serious in an instant. "Watch your words. He's my boyfriend." I turned to look, and they're not far away. Jiang Yuan lowered his lashes. Breaking apart again. We were in the same department, just different majors. When Jiang Yuan had class, I'd sit beside him and audit it, sprawled over the desk, sketching idly now and then. "Look," I proudly showed off my drawing skills. His gaze sharpened as he looked at the chubby little girl in the painting. "Who's this?" "Jiang Ning." "Who?" I leaned close to his ear and said, "Our daughter." He froze for a moment and nearly stood up. That night, I was lying with my head in his lap playing on my tablet, and I could clearly feel how restless he was. "What's wrong?" I rolled over. The wooden bed creaked. "Gigi, go home." He looked down at me, his cool fingertips brushing the hair beside my cheek and neatly tucking it behind my ear. "No matter how hard I try now, it still isn't enough. In the future, we'll get married, and we'll have a daughter. I'm going to give you a good life. At the very least, it won't be any worse than the life you had before." I looked at him and instinctively asked, "Oh, so you finally believe I'm from another time?" He rarely smiled. He let out a soft laugh and gave a faint hum in reply. "I believe you." The next day, a lot of men in suits showed up in the alley. Jiang Yuan reunited with the Jiang family much earlier than he had in his previous life. I felt awkward going back with him, and he wasn't comfortable leaving me alone in the rental, so I simply ran back to the Ji family home. 14. "You broke up with that broke guy?" My mom sipped her tea with elegant composure, wearing a face that said, "Just as I expected." I knew this would happen. I pretended to wipe away tears, buying myself some time. "Yeah, we broke up." She nodded in satisfaction, and after my relentless coaxing, she finally gave me back control of my finances. I moved back into the apartment. Jing Xian was incredibly well informed and showed up that very night, like a shark smelling blood in the water. He stood arrogantly at the door and kicked me while I was down. A poor couple has 100 days of sorrow. See. This is what happens. Me, thanks, but we haven't even gotten our marriage certificate yet. That's not what I meant. I rolled my eyes and was just about to close the door. He quickly blocked the doorway. Suzizi, I've thought it through these past few days. Someone like Lin, she really isn't right for me. Well, I mean as a friend. The day before yesterday, she broke her leg and called me over, but she also called 5 guys at the same time. They were all her close buddies, and 2 of them were actually her boyfriends. Her personal life is kind of messy. I've already cut ties with her. We've known each other for so long. Can't we just make up? After all these years, you can't be that heartless, can you? I would, actually. Look at how solemn I was. He was momentarily speechless, then he cleared his throat softly twice and changed the subject. There's a business gathering tomorrow night. Are you going? By the time we reach our age, we've already taken over the family business one step at a time. I'm still mulling it over. Then I heard him say, the Jiang family will be sending people this time too, and it'll be a sizable turnout. In that case, I have no choice but to go. Hearing my affirmative answer, he raised an eyebrow, smiled, and let out a relieved breath. 15. The next evening arrived as scheduled. I showed up all dressed up, and as I stepped outside, I saw Jing Xian leaning against his chauffeured car, beckoning me over. I looked at him, baffled. What are you doing? He froze. Didn't you agree to be my date? How could I? I'm already seeing someone. Didn't you say you broke up? Shu. I ignored him and sauntered over to my own driver with a light snort. I had underestimated how fast Jing Xian could go running to tattle. The moment I arrived at the venue, my mom's face darkened, and she looked ready to march over and twist my ear herself. You dare brush me off? Huh? What exactly do you see in that poor kid? You're really set on craving that one bite of wild greens. Just wait till you're crying your eyes out. She quietly grabbed my arm, holding back her irritation. There are so many outstanding young men here. Pick one on the spot. Jing Xian walked over at just the right moment and cleared his throat awkwardly. Auntie, don't forget about me. Oh, Xiaoxian, take a look too. See if there's a girl you like. Auntie, that's not what I mean. My mom sighed. But that's exactly what I mean. You two are only suited to be friends. My mom saw everything during that stretch when I trailed after Jing Xian everywhere like a little puppy. Jing Xian fell silent. The banquet officially began. Glasses clinked as the crowd exchanged polite pleasantries. My mom dragged me around, scouting for prospects. I sighed helplessly. Mom, don't do this. I'm a married woman. I heard Mr. Zhang's son is back. Go put on your best show. Maybe he'll fall for you at first sight. Jing Xian wouldn't give up and insisted on following me to get under my skin, wearing a half smile. Auntie, someone like Su Zhizhi, so clueless, I mean, so innocent, how could he possibly take a liking to her? I was just about to say something. The crowd stirred, suddenly growing excited. The young man in the suit was surrounded by adoring people like the center of attention. He walked in, lowered his gaze, and spoke in a low voice with an elder beside him. I recognized Jiang Yuan at a glance. Beside him was his aunt. After he said something to his aunt, they both suddenly looked up and turned toward me. My mom instinctively smiled. Her years of experience in the business world made her nudge me. She was trying to make me seem a little more poised and graceful. Do well and stop thinking about that broke guy of yours. I nodded and smiled too, but Jing Xian stopped smiling. He watched helplessly as Jiang Yuan walked over and politely introduced me to the legendary business elite. Auntie, this is my girlfriend, 16. On the way back, my mom's smile was genuine and heartfelt. I knew it. My daughter has a great eye. You even managed to invest in the Jiang family's long-lost son. Mom, I won't allow my true love to be tainted by even a hint of worldly corruption. I don't like him just because he's from the Jiang family. Don't be so snobbish. Our family is a wealthy one too, you know. Yes, everything you say is right, sweetheart. My mom looked at Jiang Yuan's photo and was beyond pleased. No matter how you looked at him, he was quite good. He's tall, good-looking, and I hear he's really smart too. I'm not saying this just to flatter him, but Xiaoxian, you really shouldn't have been so hard on him before. From now on, I'm basically part of the family too, so everyone should come over and have dinner together for the holidays. Jing Xian looked irritated and squeezed out a single word through clenched teeth. Oh, 17. You and I started dating and got engaged naturally. Jiang was his mother's maiden name. After returning to the Jiang family, he made the same choice he had in his past life and decided to keep the surname Jiang. Jiang Yuanan became young Master Jiang. People's impression of him changed from that withdrawn poor student to a cool, mysterious, ice prince type heartthrob. He looked dazzling and enviable in front of others, but behind closed doors, I sat on his waist and carefully checked the homework. I cupped his face and gave him a kiss, then I shifted positions and burrowed into his arms. Honey, so when did you start liking me? He gently rubbed his chin against the top of my head. I liked you at first sight, I thought hard. The time in the private room, when we did the dare, he laughed. A little earlier, when I was working part-time as an NPC in a haunted house, I played a beggar, dirty and ragged. You were so scared you jumped on me. If anyone else ran into something like that, they'd want to leap away immediately, but not you. Even though you were terrified, you were still worried about me. Gently brushing the dust off my face, I thought back carefully. It was right when university had just started. I was tripped by someone and accidentally fell onto him. It was dimly lit, and I thought the blood on his face was blood I had smashed out of him. Shaking all over, I pulled out some wet wipes to clean his face, and afterward, to show my apology, I also compensated the haunted house 1,000 yuan. Who would have thought that 1,000 yuan would turn out to be exactly what he desperately needed? He had just enough to cover his tuition. Fate works in mysterious ways. I let out an exclamation. For some reason, I suddenly felt a little nostalgic for the old days and let out a long sigh. Honey, I miss our daughter so much. 18, Mommy, carry me. A familiar, childlike voice rang out. I jolted upright and got to my feet at once. The surroundings had changed again. The windows were bright and clean, and outside, branches sprouting fresh green leaves leaned in, carrying a gentle breeze. Had I been sent back again? My daughter was biting her finger, blinking at me adorably. Hold me. My heart softened. I bent down and scooped up the little bundle into my arms. A young man in an apron leaned in and said, Honey, you're awake. Xiaoning, did you wake Mommy up again? A more mature version of a husband. I nodded. Yeah. Did I really sleep that long? You went out drinking with your friends and got pretty wasted. You slept for 13 hours. It had only been one night. Something felt off to me, and my gaze suddenly landed on his right ear. No hearing aid. I jolted, set my daughter down, and went to tug at his shirt again, exposing the length of his lean waist. No scars. He instinctively took my wrist and gently rubbed it. A little embarrassed, he said, Honey, stop. The kid is still here. Could it be that I've changed the past? I looked up and gave him a quick peck on the lips. Honey, I did something huge. He listened patiently as I talked. I traveled through time, and I took good care of you. He patted my head. I know. I froze slightly. You knew? Yeah. Didn't you say from the start that you traveled through time? Your painting is exactly like our daughter's. I was stunned again. 19. I tossed and turned in bed, unable to fall asleep. Honey, that's strange. Did I end up in a parallel world? In my original world, I remember your hearing was impaired, but I still can't figure out why that was. He pulled me into his arms and held my flailing limbs still. Wife, I had a very long dream too, a nightmare. In that dream, we were strangers. You were never happy either. Every time I saw you, you looked down in the dumps or were crying. He said a lot, and I listened intently. It wasn't until he said that one time, when his phone pushed out a landslide warning, he remembered I was headed to the disaster site that day, worried sick. He immediately ran there to look for me. After a great deal of effort, he managed to save me. But a falling rock also hit him on the head, rupturing the eardrum in his right ear, and leaving him deaf from then on. His body also bears the scars from those injuries to this day. As the jumbled pieces of information came together, the truth gradually emerged. So the one who saved me that day was him. It was Jiang Yuan. I asked him, then why wouldn't you tell me? Honey, I didn't want to put any pressure on you. Even if you knew, all it would do is make you sad and blame yourself. You're not wrong. And I'm not wrong either. There's nothing to explain. I took a deep breath. I turned around and pulled out my phone. I cursed Xing Xian's entire family tree, all the way back 18 generations, wherever he was abroad. Xing Xian, no. When did I ever drag you out to go ride motorcycles? Whatever, what you did in your past life still counts. Blocked. Deleted. I turned and leaned into Jiang Yuanan's embrace, taking in his scent deeply. The moonlight was soft, and the night was hushed. Staring at the chest right in front of me, I couldn't help but want to reach out and touch it. How about we give Xiaoning a little sister? He leaned in with practiced ease, his laughter as light as a feather. Okay, come on, darling, the end.